Hey there guys. So Saga is a 28mm skirmish game with a relatively low model count. An army on average is about 30 models. The rulebook is only a tenner and the rules are simple enough to follow, which makes this a fantastic entry point for people looking to get into historical wargaming. Once you've got your rulebook and you've gone through it, there are some supplement books that you can buy, which are period specific. And these will contain your army lists, your faction rules, and everything else you might need to play. And the chaps down at my local wargaming community had elected to go for the Age of Vikings, which covers around 750 AD to 1066 AD. But you can go for anything else that they produce, which can be anything from the Crusades, the Age of Invasions, which is aka the fall of the Roman Empire, or the Age of Hannibal, which is your classical antiquity period. Or there's even I think there's a magic version as well, if you're into kind of, things like Games Workshop, Age of Sigmar, you can move into that stuff as well. Saga doesn't really concern itself with being historically strict. You'll have factions in here from around about the same era that might not have been in combat with each other. I mean, a prime example of this is the Anglo-Saxons are actually represented by two different factions from two different time periods. You've got the pre-Dane invasion version, which is kind of Alfred the Great's time, and you've got one post-Dane invasion, which is Harold Godwinson's time during the Norman invasion. So it's a bit Hollywood in that sense, but I really like that because this book is absolutely packed full of flavour for each one. It doesn't really matter too much because, I mean, like I said, having fun is the main thing here. And I've got to tell you that the factions in these books are very, very cool. I mean, if you're into these historical time periods at all, really seriously, you can't go wrong with these books. They're absolutely fantastic. It does actually make me want to buy the other supplement books they produce just because I want to see the factions in them. There's so much cool stuff in here. But what makes Saga really stand out is the creators have captured sort of the cinematic or kind of Hollywood flavor of each faction with these battle boards, which you get with the supplement book. So you will get one of these with the supplement book, and there's one for every single faction in there. And the way this works when you're playing a game is a little bit like the bolt action rules, where you have kind of activation dice, where in this you'll have these sort of faction-specific dice which will roll, and you'll use this board to activate your units. So this could be used for simple move, shoot, or charge actions, which is quite normal in most war games. But you have kind of these faction special abilities on there as well, which is what sets your faction apart from the other ones. And these hugely set the armies apart in their play styles, and a bit of a Hollywood way to capture the essence of the army. For example, the normal one, as you can probably tell, is all about mounted troops and mounted soldiers, getting the charges in there, pursuits, and I think there was one for doing like a little retreat action there, so you could kind of move away from combat and try and draw the enemy in. They've essentially just looked at the Battle of Hastings and thought, how can you turn this into some special abilities for this faction, which is really very, very cool. They all have their different styles. Some are more aggressive than others, some are more defensive. The Anglo-Saxons have a fantastic one which is based on the thirds, so that they can kind of artificially increase their numbers on the battlefield by increasing the amount of attack dice they have or the amount of defensive dice that they have when you activate these special abilities. It's really, really cool stuff, and each one is insanely unique, to the point where it was really difficult for me to actually choose one faction to go with. Starting your army in Saga really couldn't be simpler. No matter what army or faction you go for, they can be broken down into 4 different segments. So you will have in your warband a warlord, you'll have your elite troops, your Hearthguard, and you will have your warriors, and then you'll have finally your kind of peasant class, which are your levies. So lovingly, the book does go into a bit of detail in flavour about where these troops would come from within your faction society. For example, if the Vikings will say that every Viking warlord is usually a Jarl or surround himself with veteran Hearthguards, superlative warriors who swore to die with him in battle. And it'll go into detail about where your warriors would come from within your faction, as where the levies would come from as well. Now, mistakenly, I jumped the gun a little bit before I got these books delivered, and I thought, yep, Normans is it for me. It's got to be them. You know, they smashed the Battle of Hastings, become the rulers of England. I'd love to play a fledgling Norman warband leading up to that. And once I got the book, I was flicking through it. The Normans are very cool. That's not to say I'm not having fun with them, but there are other factions in here which I thought would just seem insanely more fun to play. There's one in here called the Norse Gales, which are essentially like an Irish crazy Norse mix of pirate raiders. Yeah, these are the guys. So they have some very cool faction rules, but they have one which is their legendary unit, which is the Black Crew, which are a plague of the Northern Seas. And this is a legendary unit specific to this faction, which are just these nutter pirate raider dudes. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But, you know, that's not the same, not having fun putting my warband together. So for my Warlord and my Elite Mounted Troops, I wanted to do something a bit special for this one. And I'm lucky enough to have a 3D printer in the house. So I've got these fantastic models from Caballero miniatures, which are actually early medieval Spanish models for, you know, things like El Cid or Reconquista. But if you look at them the way they are, they've got the kind of conical helmets, the chainmail, and they will perfectly suit the Norman Knights, especially with these lovely little kite shields, which is going to go on there. I mean, I will put links for these down below as well, but you can either print these yourselves, or you can actually have companies print these for you, which is actually quite cheap. But if you want something a bit special, you know, you can get these guys done. I mean, this one obviously needs a bit of cleaning and sprucing up before going to priming. I'm so looking forward to painting these out. So these are my little tester dudes, and these come in like little packs. You'll have different variations of them as well, so they don't look the same. I think this comes in a pack of 4. So I can just have 4 of these guys. The weapons are interchangeable. There's a little weapons pack that they sell as well, so you can put whatever you want in there. But I'm obviously going for Lancers. So for my bog standard troops, though, I have just gone and ordered some specific Saga packs. You can get these online. There are multiple different sellers that make these. I highly recommend V&V Miniatures, which I'll put up now for you to have a look at, and there'll be a link down below. These are the Gripping Beast packs, which are the guys who produce I think the official guys who produce for Saga. So I've got myself some Norman Crossbowmen, which are these lovely little metallic models. I mean, these look, I think for 20mm, these look really, really good. Out there. There's quite a few different variations in there. Really good detail on those ones. I mean, these are going to be quite simple to paint, which I'm happy with. So not massive amounts of belts and buckles to do. the bane of my life. And then for my bog standard peasants, I have a little box here of Archer Levy. So, I mean, reading through the Norman faction book and the battle board, it seems like all the abilities that they have of mounted troops, but they do have some for archers and ranged volleys. So my idea is to have a load of crossbowmen and levy archers at the front, and then have the cavalry behind, which will be a mixture of Hearthguard mounted warriors. And then the idea is just to pepper the enemy non-stop with these guys until the last minute. And there's a special ability where the cavalry can then charge through the ranks into the enemy, and hopefully that charge will be enough to disperse the enemy, crush them completely. Because apparently if it's not, I'm going to get rather screwed, because there are some rather aggressive factions out there that can really dismount a horse with a massive Dane axe. That's what I've got so far. I haven't printed my Warlord yet, but I have purchased this King Alfonso model in its place, which I think will look really good on the board. Now, my paint skills aren't good enough yet to hand paint shields, so I think I will be using transfers. So if you've got any suggestions for where to get some decent Norman transfers from, I'd love to hear them. Just feel free to pop them in the comments below. But yeah, that's it for now. So this is going to be concurrent with my War of the Roses project. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will post a milestone update soon when I've got some of these guys painted and ready on the board. Cool. Peace out. Have a good day.